Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to another Facebook Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper. I am located in the United States in Sheridan, Oregon, and I am so happy that you have joined me, whether it's live or on the replay. Be sure and like and follow if you see anything you'd like. And comment and let me know where you're from. So I would really like to say hello. So let's go ahead and see who we have on. I am just a few seconds early. Excuse me. So we'll see who jumps on and give it just a minute or so. As you can tell, hello, Cynthia. Tonight I am featuring products mostly from the annual catalog. So we're going to start with the Artistically inked stamp set and the coordinating artistic dies. These are no longer bundled, so you will find the stamp set on page 105 of the 2022-2023 annual catalog, and the dies you will find on page 169. Okay, hello Tracy, hello Jennifer, hello Laura. Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate it. Sure makes stamping more fun to stamp with friends. All right, so I'm just going to dive in. I have a lot tonight. I'm going to tell you I struggled with this stamp set when I sat down to use it. I struggled a little bit, had a hard time, and then all of a sudden everything just came together and I went crazy. So I have 5 projects that I made with this stamp and die set, and I'll be trying to make 3 of them, and I'll show you the other 2. So let's get started. I won't be completing all 3 projects in front of you all, because I've done a lot of prep work to try and make this go quickly so that we are not here all night. We're going to start with a card base in Blackberry Bliss. I've got a piece of the Favored Flowers Celebration Free Designer Series paper in the Fresh Freesia pattern. This piece I cut at 4 by 5 1/4. I've got a piece of basic white cardstock that I'm going to use for stamping and die cutting. I've got a piece of the distressed gold paper that I've already die cut from, but I did want to show you this. This is currently not orderable, but is due back in very soon. And of course, you could substitute that with some regular gold foil if you so choose. This is the die I've cut with the distressed gold, and that is this large die right here. Now you'll notice that the die is larger than my piece. I didn't need the whole thing, so I've cut it, and I'm saving my other piece for another project. No point in wasting that. So we've got that. I've taken from the Stylish Dies. These are on page 175 in the 2022-23 annual catalog. They're a standalone item. So you'll find them page 175. They too are not orderable, but will be back in stock, or are due back in stock the week of February 13th, so not very far from now. And what I've done with that is I have taken the largest of the stitched circles, and I've cut that from my basic white. Okay, so I've pre-done that. We're going to try and get through this quickly. So we've got that little circle here, and we are going to take this piece of white. Now you have plenty if you take this piece of white and cut the white circle out of it. I cut 2 out of mine, so that's why I'm using a brand new one for stamping, because you can get 2 of these circles out of this one. And then we're going to take our stamp And basically for this card, we're going to be using three of the stamps from the set. We're going to use one of the sentiments, best wishes. And we're going to use this rose and a leaf. Okay, so we're going to start with our lightest color, which is actually, well, you could use, you know what, let's start with Daffodil Delight. I don't think I pre-washed, I didn't get my Simply Chamois wet. Okay, so we've got one that we're going to do in Daffodil Delight. Okay, and we're going to clean that up. Move to Fresh Freesia. Stamp another. Then we'll clean that off on our chamois. Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to stamp that. Close those all up. This is really a very simple card. You could make pretty quickly. We're going to take the Garden Green, and I am going to stamp 6 of these. Okay. And then I'm going to move these out of the way. Let's put this, close this up so it'll stay at least halfway wet. Get rid of our leaf here. Then we're going to bring in our circle, our die cut circle. I'm going to go back to that Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to pull up the Best Wishes here. And I'm going to stamp this about 2 in the top third, but over to the left. Okay. The beauty of stamping this first before you do anything else is that you don't have to get it straight, because you can straighten it up by turning the circle. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so we've got all of that stamping done. Of course, at the same time, you would stamp your inside. Okay, I've already done that. So what I've done is I took the Blackberry Bliss. I stamped it off twice to get a real thin color. On a piece of masking paper, I stamped the flower. Then I masked my flower. Again, stamped off twice with my leaf and the granny apple, and I stamped and stamped to get that. Put a piece of the same designer series paper at the bottom. This is a 3/8 of an inch actually, because this piece here is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4 for my inside. So we'll set that aside. And while I've got my inks and things out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my envelope, and I'm going to do that in Blackberry Bliss with the Granny Apple Green in full strength. And then on the back, I'm going to take this trio of flowers, which is also from Artistically Inked, and I'm going to stamp it in Fresh Freesia. Okay, so then I've got a matching envelope. My inside is beautiful, and we'll put this card together very quickly. Okay, I've already die cut those pieces to save us some time. So I'm just going to pull those out, put the backing back on my mask so that I can reuse that for another time. Okay, and just to show you, you're going to use this stamp or this die, and you want to look for these curvy pieces right here. And if you put those in here, that'll line up for you perfectly and very quickly. Okay, and then we've got the die for the leaves. Of course, you'll have to run that through 3 times for the flowers and 6 times for the leaves to get the pieces that you need. All right. While you're doing all your stamping and die cutting, you might as well stamp an extra Blackberry Bliss and 2 more of the greenery And then you'll be able to make a little treat holder for a York peppermint patty using this same bundle. And this comes together very quickly because it's just a wrapper. I want to show you the template for that. Okay, that's a simple 4 3/4 by 1 3/4 inch piece of, I use the designer series paper, and for this one I use the Dainty Flowers designer series paper that is free in celebration, because this is Blushing Bride, and I thought it matched my York peppermint patty cover pretty well. So I've got that. Took this thank you is from Through It Together. It's an all sentiment stamp set, has tiny little sentiments. The little die comes from the mini pocket dies, and I'll show you those in a little bit because we're going to use them on another project. But that's how quickly I put that together. So you're going to score this 4 3/4 by 1 3/4 inch piece on the 4 3/4 inch side. And you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, 2 1/8 inch, 2 5/8 inch, and 4 1/4. Now, you can cut it at the 4 3/4, or you could cut it at 4 11/16 to save yourself from trimming off just a tiny bit off this tab, because what you're going to do to make that wrapper is you're going to fold from this end. You're going to fold on the second score line, fold this one on the first line, and glue that over. And then you're going to have your little candy wrapper, just like that. They're very, very quick. Okay, so let's take these and let's grab our pieces here and start assembling very quickly. I'm going to take some Stampin' Seal, put that on our designer series paper. Okay, I need to fold this before I get too far. This is a card base 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the center at 4 1/4. I'm going to fold on that score line and burnish. Got my DSP. Then I'm going to take and add my circle. I'm going to leave the outsides loose, at least on the right hand side. So I want to be able to slip my gold piece under here. So we're going to take this, take a little bit of, now you could run this through with the adhesive sheets, and that might be a good idea, but I'm going to use my fine tip glue bottle that my friend Cynthia sent me that I've filled with the Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue that we have in our Stampin' Up! Store. And I'm just going to dab a little bit of dots of glue here and there. I don't need it to lay down completely, so just a few dots here and there. This liquid glue is very strong. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and remember I didn't glue that down all the way, so now I can take my leaf here, if it will cooperate with me. And I'm going to tuck that right under here. Well, you know what? Of course it's not going to cooperate. Let me give this a little twist. Stick this under here like so. All right, let me twist this off. Let's do it this way, because this is not cooperating for whatever reason. You know, this worked perfectly when I was doing it up. Now I've got that glue and it doesn't want to lay where I want it to. Okay, so let's just stick this down right here. So then we're just going to go ahead and glue the whole thing. I want this on flat. Put this down here like this. Cover up that stem like so. I'm going to take my Blackberry Bliss and get some glue. I've already taken and put two of these together, so we're going to get a glue dot. And put those. And of course I put the glue dot on the wrong side. You need to put the glue dot on the front of the leaves. And we're going to put these down about right here. I'm going to take the yellow. I'm going to take two of those leaves. Now I'm going to put a glue dot on the back of one. This one, I didn't get the die quite right, so what I do to fix those is I just take out my paper snips, give that a quick trim till I'm happy with it. I'm going to take my glue dot, put those two together, another glue dot on the front. And I'm going to get my fresh freesia. And I'm going to put that over here. Put these down like this. And let's see. And then I'm going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals on my yellow flower. I'm going to pop that up. And take two more of those leaves. Attach that to my yellow flower. Pop off the backings. Put my Daffodil Delight flower down. And then I'm going to take some Milky Dots. Where did I put those? Right here. Got these adhesive backed Milky Dots. And I'm going to take a couple of the Petal Pink, what they call Petal Pink. It's got more of a lilac tint to it, I think, in my opinion. So I'm going to take a large one. I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to take a smaller one, put it up here. And then I'm going to grab another larger one. And I'm going to stick that right there. And there is the front of our first card finished. And then we're going to take the inside. I did not put a sentiment on this because best wishes could be for a lot of things. And we'll see what I end up using it for. So we'll add this to the inside of our card. And there is the first card complete. All right. Okay, let's move these because we're going to need these artistic dies again. All right, put all this stuff away. I'll need the Daffodil Delight again, but the rest of that can go. All right. So what did you think of that card? Oh, I'm so glad you love those colors. I kind of like the way it all come together. Okay. So this was my original card. I got a little bit more gold leaf in there because I got those a little bit higher, but you know, each card is going to be unique. Nobody wants to have an exact replica. So there we are. All right, let's set this aside and get on with the next project because we still have a lot to get through. All right. Okay, so for our second card, I wanted to show how easy it is to take this particular stamp set and put it with another stamp set or other flower stamp sets that you would normally need to color. So we're going to do some coloring the easy way. We're going to be using, in addition to Artistically inked, we're going to be using Happiness Abounds. This you will find in the annual catalog on page 109, and it is currently sold as a bundle, so you can get the stamp set and the coordinating dies at a discounted price. Okay, so we're going to be using that entire bundle. And in addition, we're going to be using the stitched rectangle dies. Okay, so for this card, oh, and I didn't grab out the extra. Nope, that's not that card. Okay, so I'm actually using a retired DSP that you will find in the online clearance rack for this card. It's called Flowering Fields, and we're going to be using the Pear Pizzazz paper. I went searching. If you're ever searching for a particular color, you can go into the online store and put in the color. So you just go to your online store and then you put in my case, I put in Pear Pizzazz, and it'll pop up all the items that contain Pear Pizzazz. Well, it popped up from the clearance rack, the Flowering Fields paper. So we're using that. So we've got a thick basic white card base for this one. All right. And then you're going to need a couple of pieces of basic white, or a half a sheet of cardstock. Okay. So I'm going to show you once with one color, and then you're going to need to do this several times for this card. Okay. So we're going to start with some Pear Pizzazz here. Okay, and I've got a piece of basic white cardstock, and I'm just going to ink this up with the Pear Pizzazz ink. This is the big inky, alcohol inky looking, and I'm just going to stamp that down. Okay, and I did that several times with the Pear Pizzazz. I also did that in Mary Merlot, Melon Mambo, and Daffodil Delight. Okay, so once you get all of that stamped out, then you're going to move to your Happiness Abounds stamps, and you're going to use one of the full roses, one of the large roses, and then one of this flower. Okay, I stamped this particular flower I put on the Melon Mambo. I'm going to show you what I did with the leaves, and then I just repeated it with my others. We're doing this just to save some time. So we're going to stamp the leaf, this leaf image in basic black over the alcohol inked area. So I need two of those and one of this double leaf. Okay. And then I would stamp with the Mary Merlot in basic black, this larger stamp. Do the wild rose looking flower in the Melon Mambo, and this rosebud in the Daffodil Delight. Okay, and then I'm going to take those to my die cut machine, and with my dies from Happiness Abounds, what did I just do with that stamp set? Oh, here it is, right here. Okay, I'm going to take my dies And I'm going to cut those all out with my die cut machine. And there's only one set of leaves, so you'll have to run this through twice here. And then, of course, you only need one of each flower, so you would just have to run that through one time for each. All right? And then you've got your pieces all cut out and ready to go. Now, that will take care of your flowers and your leaves. With the stitch rectangle dies, you're going to cut a piece of basic white with the third piece. Did I cut that out? Because I don't have one of those. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, so you're going to cut actually two. Nope, just one. One in basic white out of the third largest. And then you're going to cut the Flowering Fields Designer Series paper with the largest stitch rectangle die. Okay, and then you've got those pieces. And now we're ready to start assembling. Okay, so before we go any further, we need to take our card base, and this is going to be a landscape card, and I need to make sure that I've got this down nice and flat, and I need to clean off the that stamp again, because we're going to use it again. We're going to take Pool Party ink and we're going to ink that up, and I'm going to stamp it off, and then I'm going to stamp it on the edge of my cardstock, ink it up, stamp it off. I'm going to turn my stamp. I'm going to move it down the cardstock, ink it up, put that down, ink it, stamp off. I'm going to move to the other side of my card. That way I can easily close my bottom. I'm going to stamp that off. And I think I'm going to rotate this like this. And you're just going to keep looking to see how you need to rotate. And then I'm going to angle this so I don't do a bunch of overlapping. Okay, so now I've got a border of that stamp all the way around my card base. I'm also going to take my inside piece, which again is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, and I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, so I've already done that, and I stamped from the Happiness Abounds, the happy birthday, and wishing you all the happiness you can imagine in Memento Black. So we can set this aside. And then the next thing we need to do is take this piece of white. Again, we're going to take our Pool Party ink. I'm going to grab a blending brush that I can use for Pool Party. Okay. I'm going to put some Pool Party on there, and I'm going to very lightly ink this up. I want a very light coat I just didn't like the stark whiteness, but I didn't want a bunch of pool party. And I don't need to worry about the center because I'm going to cover that up. So I'm basically just going to ink blend the edges just to give it a little bit of color. All right, so that piece is ready to go. All right, this card is ready for assembly. So we are going to take the before we go to, we're not going to go any further until we get this done because I was silly when I made my sample card, and we're not going to do that again. So we're going to take our sentiment, which is friend, and this is from the Happiness Abounds. It's the one thing I love about the Happiness Abounds set. I'm going to lay this down on a line so that my friend is even. Okay. And then I'm going to take the Memento Black and ink up my sentiment. I'm going to put this up in the left-hand corner. I'm going to focus on the word, not the curlies, because if I focus on the curlies, then I'm not going to get my sentiment straight. Okay, so we've got our friend on there, and now we can add these pieces to our card base. Okay. Nope, that's the Stamp and Seal Plus. That's not what I want. I just want Stamp and Seal. So I'm going to put this down on my card. And center that up. And then I'm going to add my ink blended piece. And I'm going to try and center that up as best I can. And then with the pieces that I've die cut, I'm going to start laying this out. So I'm going to put my yellow rose over here, my melon mambo rose over here. I want to put a leaf like so. My big rose is going to go here in the center, like this. Okay. And I'm going to put this leaf in here like so. And then we'll stick this one over here. Okay, so now that I know pretty much where I'm going to put that, I'm going to start layering these down. I'm going to go ahead and stick this in here, like so. I'll put my yellow rose down next, but what I'm going to do with my yellow rose is I'm going to take my bone folder. I'm going to flip up these top 3 edges there, and I'm going to get a Stampin' Dimensional. I'm just going to take a mini here. And I'm going to pop that in the center here of the top of my yellow rose, just to give it a little bit of dimension. So now I can take this and pop this down here like so. All right. Let's pull out our pink melon mambo flower. Again, on the front of the melon mambo, I'm going to use the bone folder and then my Stampin' Seal. And again, I'm going to put a dimensional here. And tuck this under like so. Okay. I'm going to add my leaf. I'm going to give my leaves just a little bit of dimension. A little bit of Stampin' Seal. Tuck that in here. You know what? Before I tuck that, really, let's go ahead and put this one on so we know right where it's going to go. We're going to put our Stampin' Dimensionals right in the center. Okay. And again, I'm going to give that just a little bit of a curl for some dimension. Not a lot. I just want a little bit of curl. Okay. If you don't have your bone folder, use your fingernails. Okay, we're going to stick that right there. And again, I'm going to grab that leaf from over here, place that in here like so. Give those leaves another curl. Stampin' Seal. Stick that under there. I'm going to pull those milky dots again. What did I do with them? I set them right here. And again, I'm going to use that same color. I'm going to take a large milky dot and I'm going to put it right in the center of my card. Okay. Then I'm going to add my inside piece. Which you wouldn't have to do this. You could stamp right on the inside if you choose. Okay. Then to finish this card combo off, hello, Mr. Cruz. Be seeing you on Sunday. All right, so then we have a matching envelope, and I've just taken, for this, I've taken that same technique for the card with this Stampin' Pool Party. I did the two bottom corners on the front, and then I did the flap of the envelope so that we have the matching stationery set. All right, so that's project number 2. Looks like we're doing pretty good for time. All right. So let's clean up a bit while you're looking at that. Get my things put away. And that way we won't have as many distractions. All right, let's put those out of the way. All right, and the final project takes a little bit, has a little bit more to it. Okay, so we'll bring that in. And grab our pieces here. For this one, we're going to be using those mini pocket dies that I was telling you I used that little tag piece out of right here. You'll find these on page 172 in the annual catalog. So this is that little tag I used on the treat. It looks like it was made specifically for that little stamp. And let's see, here is the Threw It Together stamp set if you don't know what that looks like. Okay, it's just a bunch of sentiments, and they're all small so that they'll fit into the smaller spaces. Okay, so out of the mini pocket dies for this project, we're going to be using this particular die for our sentiment. And I have already cut that out of basic white to save us some time. Because like I said, this one is a little bit time consuming. Sorry about that. We're going to be using the Country Wreaths stamp set and dies. These are a carryover from the holiday catalog, and they are right now only available online. You won't find them in print at the moment in a current catalog. So we're going to be using the Country Wreath stamp set. We'll be using this particular stamp and this particular die. And I want to show you how I lined this up. Okay, so what I did for this, because it can be a little bit tricky, I took my stamp, my wreath stamp, and I put it on my block. And then I took the die that coordinates and I ran it around until it fit. Okay, now I've got the cutting side up. Okay, actually this does have a little arrow, but this is how I did it. I ran it around till it fit, and I set it on there. And then I took a Sharpie marker and I put a mark there, and I put a mark on my stamp. So now as long as I line my stamp up, and I can see that mark, as long as I stamp it this way, and then I look for my mark, I'll be able to cut that out perfectly without running it around each time, okay? So, from the natural prints dies, I used this die, and I took a piece of sweet sorbet cardstock and I cut that out. And I've already done that. It's right here. And I want you to see how that is embossed as well as it does the die cut. So we've got that. And we can put those away because I've already done the die cutting. I think maybe I didn't on the, nope, I didn't die cut the wreath. So we're going to do that. I'm going to show you how I did that. Okay, as soon as I grab some white paper, because apparently I didn't do that. Okay, we're going to use a card base in Sweet Sorbet, standard size A2, 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. And we're going to fold that. I'm going to line up my edges. This one looks to be off just a bit, so I'm going to make sure that my edges are lined up. Take my bone folder and push it back toward the fold and give it a good burnish. And then my sides will line up. Okay, so I've got that. I've got a piece of the Dainty Flowers free celebration choice paper. This is the print, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. I've got a piece that is 2 1/4 by 6. That is for my envelope flap. Let's go ahead and put that on. So I just take some liquid glue and very conservatively go around the flap with the glue. I'm not trying to get a big thick amount. Remember, if you can see it, it's enough. I'm going to take and lay my Designer Series paper down right against the edge there to make sure. I'm going to slide this like this against my desk, and then I'm going to give it a good press. Take my scissors, cut that. Then with my left hand, I'm going to give that envelope flap a quick turn. I'm not going to move my scissors. Okay. I'm just going to cut along the edge of that envelope flap. Turn at the corner so I get a nice crisp corner. And there we go. Okay, now on this particular envelope, I did that same masking that I did before. I stamped my rose in Sweet Sorbet, and this time I've used Garden Green for my leaves. So that makes me a beautiful envelope. I did the same technique on the inside, and this is again 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And I've added it to a piece of that Dainty Flowers Designer Series paper. And this one I cut at 3 1/4 by 4 3/4, and we're going to put that inside our card. So let's go ahead and do that now. When I attach inside my card, I usually just put a top piece of adhesive. You can do top and bottom, center, whatever you like. And again, there's no actual sentiment in there yet. Okay, so we can go ahead and put this Designer Series paper onto our card front. Make sure that we've got this correctly positioned. Lay that down. And now we need to do a little bit of stamping. Okay. So we're going to take out our sentiment piece. You need a scrap piece of Blushing Bride's cardstock, and from the Blushing Bride cardstock scrap, I've already cut from the Give It a Whirl dies. I cut 3 of the smallest stitched hearts for our card. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do some stamping now. Let me grab some white cardstock, and I don't need a ton here. So let's just grab a piece. Cut this down so it's more manageable. All right, so I usually cut mine at quarter sheets when I'm working. Okay, so we've got that. And that should be more than enough for what we need. Okay. So we are going to take our wreath, and like I said, I'm going to ink that wreath, or I'm going to ink this wreath with that mark at the top so that I know where to die cut it. Okay, so I'm going to give that a press. And then I'm going to turn it a little bit, and it's going to be fine that it's going to die cut some of it off, but it's all right. So I'm not going to re-ink. I'm just going to turn it a bit and do second generation stamping just to get more. Okay. Now I also need to stamp my little flowers here. So we're going to do that in Sweet Sorbet. And I'm going to do that 3 times because I actually only want the large flower. Okay. And also from that set, we're going to take the bow, and we're going to stamp that in Sweet Sorbet. Okay. And move those out of the way. Move those up. Oh, and then we need to stamp our sentiment, and we need to clean our triple flower here. We're going to take this triple flower I'm going to stamp this again after we stamp our sentiment. And this is a Valentine card. So we're going to stamp Be My Valentine in the Sweet Sorbet on our die cut piece. And because this is photopolymer, I can die cut first and stamp second. Just going to put that about in the center. Okay. And I'm going to take my Blushing Bride ink and that triple stamp there. And I'm going to ink up the two smallest flowers only. I'm not going to ink up that bigger one. So I'm just going to lay that on the edge of my stamp pad. And I'm going to stamp that off. Nope, maybe I don't want to stamp it off. So we're going to stamp this right here. And then I'm going to ink up just the little one. And I'm going to stamp that over here. Okay, so now I've got my sentiment ready to go. And we are ready to do a little bit of die cutting. So we're going to take our mini boho blue, stamp and cut in a emboss machine. And before I get too excited here, I'm going to put this on my paper. Now I've already die cut the flowers and the bow, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to grab the die that I've marked. Okay. And I'm going to place this right here because I've got my black mark right here. Got those double leaves right there. And remember, I'm not worrying about the second generation stamping that I did. I'm only worried about the darkest green, garden green on here. So I'm just going to line that up. Get some Post-it tape. And then we're going to put that on our base. Run that through our die cut machine. And now we've got our wreath. Okay, and we are ready to start assembly. Let's put our wreath away so that does not get lost. Okay, move these out of the way. All right. So I thought this was a little plain if I put it on like this, and I thought about putting a shape there, but then I went, okay, what if I did something like this? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this down flat. Right up here. About in the center. And then I'm going to pop this up, but before I pop it up, I'm going to put my pieces on. Okay, so I'm going to take those flowers that I pre-die cut. Okay, so I've got 3 of them, and I just took these to my Stampin' Pierce mat, took the stylus tool from my Simply Scored, oops, almost dropped that, and I took the fat end and I just pressed it into my pad here just to pop those up and give them some dimension. Okay, so now we're going to take and put our wreath, and this is going to go up here, I'm going to take one of those hearts, but before I go any further with my hearts, I've got to have some Wink of Stella. So the way I did this was I took my pokey part of my Take Your Pick tool and I put it in one of the stitched holes here and held on to that and then put my Wink of Stella just inside the stitching. Okay, and I'm going to do that to all three of these. And hopefully I don't have my hand in the way so you can see that. This little Take Your Pick tool is very valuable. I use it for so many different applications. Okay, so now I've got the glitter on my hearts. Okay, and we're going to grab the glue dots, if I can figure out where I set them. Right here. And I like to take these. Actually, I'm just going to pick these up with my Take Your Pick tool and set them on a glue dot. Okay. And then I'm going to get my flowers. These ones I can actually use my tweezers because they're lifted up. And then I can get them poked in the center. Okay. Now, set this out of the way. We're going to take one of our hearts. I'm going to put it right in the center of our bow and give that a press. And again, I'm going to lift up a little bit on the edges of that bow just to give it a dimension. Again, I'm going to take a glue dot, put that down in the center. I'm going to turn this a little bit until I'm happy with the placement. I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to go down just a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to put a flower here, flower here. They don't have to be exactly across from each other. I'm going to take my hearts and go here. I want to move this one up a bit. No, I'm good. Let's move this one. I had that off a bit from where I wanted it. And let's get this one. Remember, when you're trying to lift these up, twist and pull gently. Twist and peel. There we go. So now we've got our other heart. We're going to put over here. And then we've got the last flower, which went where? Oh no. Okay, well, my other flower disappeared. Oh, silly me. It didn't disappear. It's still on my glue dot roll. Okay, so we've got that. Then I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to grab some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to add this to the front of my card, making sure that I Get just about even here and here, and I want to make sure that my center is covered there, and then I'll give it a good press. Take my sentiment piece. I'm going to put that down here. And I'm going to grab some champagne rhinestones. And again, with my Take Your Pick tool, I'm going to take the small champagne rhinestones and I'm put those right in the center of my flowers for just a little bit of bling. Okay. And there is project number 3 completed. Okay. So here's another project that I did that I wanted to show you, that I used that bundle. And with this one, with this particular project card, I took the die from Artistic Dies. Where did I put those? And I used this piece and I cut it out in white. And then I laid it on my card and took my blending brushes and put in some color there. And then I die cut this again with that gold distress paper, added it to the card front. And that's the effect I got. This Sending Loving Thoughts of Prayers, again, this sentiment is from the Threw It Together stamp set that we used for the little thank you. So it's right, sending your loving. Oh no, this is from Sending Support. This is the Celebration Free, Sending Loving Thoughts and Prayers. So you can get this free with a $50 order through the end of February 2023. And then for the inside of this, praying for blankets of healing around you and yours, I got it from Threw It Together. Okay. So again, you can see that I have 2 of those gold distress leaves. Those are ones that I cut off of that piece from the first project that we did. And I just added them inside there. This is a piece of the Sweet Sorbet glitter ribbon that we have, and I just used my dark blackberry bliss stamp and blend to color that and then put it on. And again, I did the ink blending on the envelope so that everything matched, and I used that same stencil that I used on here for here so that I could get double duty there. All right, so we've got that. Let me get all my cards out here. We've got this one that we made tonight, this one that we made together tonight, and this one. Okay, so we've got quite a bit of inspiration for this particular stamp and die set. And then we also have that, I'm not sure what I did with my little treat thing. I set it somewhere, and you wouldn't believe the mess I have around me right now from doing the cards. This is actually the card that we made tonight. So let's just switch that out there. That was my sample card. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, thank you guys for the lovely compliments on those projects. So I did want to show that, you know, if you get a flower set and you have that artistically inked stamp set, you don't have to color in your images. You can use that artistically inked stamp set to do the coloring for you. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I do so much appreciate you. Here's the treat. Had it right up in front of me. All right, I will see you back here again next week, the same time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we will do some more fun projects. Thank you so much for joining me. Good night.